what's up guys? Welcome back to another video. Seems like forever since I picked up the camera to film anything. It's just been snowing here or raining or blistering cold every weekend, and with me working two jobs, that's the only time I really have to work on a car. But I'm starting to accumulate more parts than I like to have laying around. Plus track season's coming up. I think the first event I'm going to go to is the NASA Icebreaker, which is like at the end of March. So hopefully the car is going to be ready. I have a bunch of upgrades that I want to do to the car. So I have picked up a few parts over the winter, and I've been installing them here and there, and I'll show you a couple of them right now. So one of the first things I picked up was a Circuit Hero Type C shift knob. It's a little bit smaller in diameter than RFAB that I had before, but it fits in your hand pretty well, and it's lighter, which I'm not sure if I like yet, because the RFAB had a little bit more weight to it, so it just felt different shifting. Also, I replaced the OEM mirrors with these spoon style mirrors. I had the ones that look like Squarecraft, and I ended up putting them on there, but I don't know, it was just really hard to adjust them, and they didn't seem really solid like when you flex them like that. So I didn't want them to fly off while I was on the track or anything like that. So I picked these up for relatively cheap, I think like 35 bucks or something like that. And last, I picked up a PCI seat rail for the passenger side. Last time I went to the track, they pretty much told me my 6-point harness was garbage because of the way that I had it mounted, which I knew it was garbage because I kind of just ghetto rigged it, and I had drilled 2 holes in the crossbar that went right here on the old seat rail. So this one actually mounts the 6-point underneath the seat where it's supposed to, and it matches the driver one even though it's a different color. Today we are going to be installing some ASR rear lower control arms I picked up, or I got for Christmas, that's just been sitting around. So I'm going to open these up and let you guys check them out. Alright, so like I said, I got these for Christmas from my fiance. Pretty stoked about these. These are the ASR spherical. So I already pushed the bushing on this side. It looks like this when you first get it. So it'll come with the bushings and some energy suspension grease. I believe these are just stock energy suspension ones, which is good, so when the bushing does wear out you can replace it. Relatively simple just to push the bushing in by hand. And then it comes with a bag of collars, and I'm going to say that these ones with the ridges right here are for the urethane, and then the other ones are for the bearings. It comes with the directions, the invoice, no sticker unfortunately, and just the grease. So pretty much I'm going to get the car jacked up right now, and then we'll start working on installing these. Since I've messed with any of this rear suspension stuff, so hopefully none of these bolts are seized. So basically, to get the control arm out, you have this bolt right here, one right here on the shock, and one right over here on the trailing arm. For Integras, you'll have a sway bar bolt right here on the back side. Some Civics don't come with a sway bar, that's why I say for Integras. So I'm going to get these off, 1, 2, 3, 4. And then I'm going to move to the other side and get that side off. Alright, so I ended up getting the control arms off. They kind of gave me a little bit of a pain, and I'll show you why. But you can see the ASR ones, the sway bar mounting point is actually on the opposite side compared to these ones. The ASRs are probably a couple ounces lighter, which is to be expected with all these holes cut into them. But the lower control arms that were on there were pretty much shot. You can see the sleeves and the bushings just sagging. This one's like facing up. The bushing on this side pretty much just exploded. Same on this side, sagging. If I could find new bushings for these, I'll probably just clean them up and refurbish them and save them for spares or put them on the other car. Who knows? One issue I did run into, the bolt that goes through the subframe brace right there, super rusty. And I'm just assuming it's because they use cheap material on the sleeve, because these are eBay arms. And if you look at the one that was on the other side, it's a lot better. So I'm probably just going to use a Dremel to clean this up, or some sandpaper. And when I reinstall these, I'll use anti-seize. For the end links, this is the driver's side. This one is still good, turns freely. I'm going to have to crack this nut open so I can adjust it, because it's going to be a different length now that the mounting point's in a different spot. But I'm probably just going to put some anti-seize on the bearing part just so it doesn't seize over time. On the passenger side, the top one turns freely, but the bottom one is kind of hard to turn. So I'm going to see if I can loosen that up. If not, I'll just order new ones. The bolts that went through the shock and went into the trailing arm, super rusty. They look like crap. And I really don't want any of these to break, because, you know, it's such a pain if they do. So, ordered Dorman replacement bolts, 13508. And it comes with 6 of them and a nut. And they have the little point on them like the factory ones do. So I'm probably going to end up only using 4 of these, because the ones that go to the subframe are much longer. So always good to replace bolts if you can. So right now I'm just going to go ahead and start trying to clean up these bolts and try to get these loosened up. Alright, so I got that bolt cleaned up pretty good, a lot better than it was. I'm just going to make sure I put a bunch of anti-seize on the non-threaded part and on the threaded part so I don't have any problems. Sway bar link I destroyed. I did get the bearing unseized, but when I tried to thread it out, it snapped. So I'm going to order a new one. I looked at the ASR's website. They want like 80 bucks. Blocks wants like 40 bucks. And PLM wants like 30 bucks with guaranteed 3-day shipping. But I have to measure, because the PLM max distance is 3 inches. So I have to put the control arms first and then take some measurements. I'm probably going to have to put one of the wheels on and try to load up the suspension to get a rough idea. I have to go on the Block's website and see how far theirs goes. If not, I guess I'll just have to spend the 80 to get the ASR ones. But if I could get the Block's ones or the PLM ones for cheaper, I'll definitely go with those. I'm not sure if when it's spherical, you have to load the suspension up to finish tightening these, so I'm just going to kind of hand snug these. Not going to tighten them all the way, and just load the suspension up before I tighten them all the way, just like you would normally do with rubber or polyurethane. Shocks were on an EK, so they kind of squeezed them together to fit the EK control arm. So I'm gonna probably have to try to bend it out a little bit. Not a big deal. I have some new coilovers coming and I'm pretty excited. So these are just temporary now. So each control arm takes 6 sleeves. I'm sure I didn't show you this on the other one, but there's one that's ribbed like that. Those go into where the bushings go. They pretty much just push in there. And then the other ones just kind of slide. They only go in one way. Flip it over. so that's in. So I'm going to go back under the car, subframe bolt, get two new Dorman bolts, and anti-seize them up. Let's get this thing together. So they're on now. It's a pretty tight fit, but everything fits really well. As you can see, I was having a little bit of trouble getting it onto the trailing arm, but you know, the bushings, since they're spherical, they kind of rock back and forth, so you kind of got to get it in the exact position that it needs to be in. So right now, I'm just going to pull the jack over here. I'm just going to jack up right here and try to load the suspension up kind of where it would sit, so I can figure out how far this sway bar right here is going to need to be for the end link, because remember I said the PLM that I was looking at ordering, because it's the fastest shipping, only goes to like 3 inches. I have the jack under the shock mounting point on the control arm, have it jacked up just enough to barely lift it off the jack stand. So I was able to break free one of the spherical toe arms, and I wound it out a little bit. So according to ASR's directions, they want you to put it in the middle and then put the top so where this is almost facing 90. Nothing's really tightened down, so it can move in a little bit. But this is basically the size that I needed. So I'm going to pull this off the car right now and just get a tape measure and measure it and order the one that I really need. So here's the link right here. From center to center, I'm looking about 3 inches. So I'm going to go take a look at a couple different websites real quick, and I'll let you know which one I ordered. Alright, so that's pretty much going to wrap up this video. I ended up ordering the PLM end links. They adjust out to 3.5 inches. I only need 3 for my application, and they were only 35 bucks, and they came with the control arm bolts, but I don't really need those since I bought those Dorman ones. But it's always good to have spares. As soon as those sway bar links come, I'll be able to drive the car. I'm pretty interested to see how the spherical is going to handle in the back when I install the Skunk 2 spherical lower control arms in the front with the ESM extended spherical ball joints lower, and then the upper and the outer tie rods. The car didn't ride different as in quality, but the handling felt more precise, so I'm just curious to see how that's going to feel in the rear. But I do have to upgrade some stuff in the back still, because it still has like the stock camber arms, the stock toe arm, still has the stock trailing arm bushings in there, and I want to upgrade all that. So hopefully before the next month, few weeks, I can get all this stuff done. But if you have any questions about this install, even though it's pretty straightforward, feel free to drop a comment down below or shoot me a message. And until next time, like, comment, subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.